So my name is Anna Maria Barsanti. I was an educator in Sudbury for 27 years. I am raising my great niece, Layla, since 2010. And I am presently working as a facilitator of a process for the community to make sure that our young kids are being cared for. When you're young and you work in a family business, and it's the family business that ensures that you have a roof over your head, you listen and you learn very quickly from the people who are taking care of you. So I listened to my grandmother who had our catering business and my father and his three brothers who owned the restaurant, and they always gave lessons on how important things were and how you had to take care and how you had to listen. You had to listen to your customers, you had to listen to your staff, and you had to be respectful. But the other thing that they all taught me was I had a voice.
But she has got a good plan.
My mom died when I was 8, and I became a people pleaser. And I was trying oftentimes I would try to fill the void by doing everything for my aunts, my uncles, whoever. So I was always a good kid. But I always knew deep down inside that there was this big hole, this big loss. And I used to teach my brothers and sisters and cousins math and English, and I would make them do homework. Even in the summertime, I would pretend I was their teacher. And then I went to university, and I was choosing between being an accountant and being a teacher. But it was because I always wanted every child to have a parent. So I ended up being mothers to many people. So it was that desire to make sure that no one was ever alone. My students, the ones that I had the pleasure of being their teacher, changed my life probably more than I changed theirs. There was a young boy that I knew, oh my God, I loved him to death, and he was always late. Always late for school. I couldn't get him on time for school no matter what I tried. And then he came in one day and he was late, I think after I thought I had corrected the world, and I yelled, I lost it. And he left school. And I was beside myself. I thought, oh my God, what have I done to this kid? He wrote me a letter and thanked me for waking him up and for him to recognize what it was that he needed to do in life. You know what he is today? He's a teacher. Coaching is, it is the most amazing thing because you have that extra time with them. And I would go and say, do you have a team to coach? So I always get the team that anybody else in the school really didn't want because they didn't have the potential, or they weren't going anywhere because the other kids had graduated, but at least I got a team. And I would be really happy with the team, and here's what we started off and here's what we ended. So it wasn't about winning, it was about developing young people. So I had 16-year-old boys journaling. So they would actually journal to me so that I could communicate with them, and that brought us closer together as a team because it was that one-on-one. And it was Peter Innes who taught me about journaling. He was a coach at Laurentian University, and he was coaching the women's team that was very successful, and that was a strategy that he had used. So I used it. And then the year that we actually won the city championship, we weren't supposed to because I was the girl coach. I remember going to a tournament in Ottawa, and this family, some of the parents were coming up and they were so impressed. I go, oh, thank you, because I didn't have a really strong team. I go, thank you so much. And they said, they listen to you. I said, oh, yes, they do. Okay, thanks. I thought it wasn't about them playing basketball, it was about the fact that they couldn't believe a group of boys was listening to a female coach.
Oh my God, what are you doing here?
I'm working.
You work here?
Well, I'm doing part replacement.
Really?
Yeah, doing concurrent.
I'm not a supporter of scores. Every single one of us is a human being with value, and every single one of us brings our own gift. And so when you put a bunch of kids into a group and you say they have to have tests and they have to meet this standard, well, what happened to me that morning? Did I have a fight with my parents? Did my grandfather die? Did I have a fight with my sibling? Am I late for school? Did I have breakfast? What are all of the components that make up who I am so that I can be successful? Oh, and by the way, I'm also growing and developing, and all these other things are happening, but this test score is going to denote whether or not I'm of value? No. I never bought into I had to have a title to be of relevance or to have something to say that was going to make sense. Why do I have to be fill in the blank to be of value to an organization? How do I grow? How many people have we lost along the way because they didn't have a chance to shine because no one heard them and they're not at a place to use their voice? And how many times do I get promoted because of who I am versus what I have to offer? So I think we miss some talent. Bureaucracy moves like the Queen Elizabeth on a dime, very slowly, right? In fact, they'll even tell you that if you implement a program in education, it will take 30 years for you to see the actual result, if that. But every time a new government comes in, they make their statement. So every time you make your statement, you have now changed a system that is supposed to be creating the minds of the next generation. And how you treat me as an educator and how I respond to how you treat me as an educator has an impact on the children. So what I believe is, yes, bureaucracies say and do things the way they do, but if you're authentic and if really what it is that you want to project and have happen is for the betterment of others, somebody will hear you that's in a place where they can help it move forward. Moving to Sweet Berry because I promised her that I would. So my whole career in education and then moving over, and that's what actually got me the job at the police service, is working with, I would call them, young people who were trying to figure out who they were. And they were very open to figuring out how to develop healthy relationships in our communities. So they're open. There's a community mobilization unit that works so that police officers are in the school. They have community safety personnel that go into the schools. They reach out into the different communities that we have so they can continue to build relationships with young people. When we say we have a lot of kids that are struggling, I would suggest that we have a lot of kids that are just kids.
My last placement that I'll have, and then I just have like reports.
I don't think people have an idea how many people we have working in the service industry, and by service industry I mean Child and Family Center, Children's Aid, Children's Community Network, all of those agencies, mental health, they're all caring about how our families are doing and how our kids are functioning. And they sit down and we brainstorm and we try to think outside the box as to how are we going to support. But in the end, it's just like, I can't teach you. I also can't help you if you don't want to be helped. But what my job is to still keep coming back. I can't give up because you say no. I still have to keep coming back so you believe I'm not going anywhere. Because there are lots of adults who at one time, no one kept coming back. One caring adult changes the life of a person. One caring adult, that's all they need.